today I wanted to make a video on these two planners. So these are just two planners that I happen to use within the last 2 weeks. It's not everything that I'm using and what I have used and what I'm currently using, but these are just two things that I did use during that month of March. So you guys know that I've been having some issues with my system and trying to figure out, like what's really working for me. And I did some deep diving into what worked for me in the past. I watched a lot of my older YouTube videos, and I ultimately ended up with the solution to all the madness. Short story is I got wrapped up in everything, all the prettiness of what everyone else is doing, and completely just disregarded my own needs and what worked for me. So I had to dwindle back down to the real world and pull out my shit that I know works. So I started out in this Print Impressions B6 for the month of March. Absolutely love the cover. Mine's is super duper chunky. It got chunkier. I added this Right in the Rain book because I did not like the here, because I thought I had this ready. I did not like this book. This was the daily book that I told myself I was going to use in this with conjunctions of all the other books that I had in here. So I think I flipped through this, and I don't know if I did, but if I did, I think I flipped through this and talked about like I didn't like this tracker layout. I just do not like trackers like this. They don't work for me. I get confused. It's horrible. I didn't like this. I love the monthly overview. I didn't like the stickers afterwards with the harsh ink. I did like some parts of the weekly, but I didn't love it. I only liked it. I didn't like the this week section being on this side. I wish it was on this side. I didn't like the next week section. This book overall just was not a book for me. So as you can see, I used it. I did use it. And then here I very much so did not use it. I just threw a bunch of stickers on it just to say I did. Didn't really use it. Did a bunch of random stuff. Didn't really use it. Used it a little bit. Used it a little bit. And then gave up. Entire book. Just gave up. It's undated. So if I ever want to try this again, I could definitely just try it out before actually committing and purchasing another book. They were like $8 on Amazon. You can get them on Amazon. So ended up with that this book in the back. Stalogy went on the rings. I was a little terrified about putting my Stalogy on the rings because I didn't want to have this situation. But they're just books. They're just notebooks. It's just paper, and I didn't really care. So it went on the rings, and this went into that back pocket. Now, I didn't actually write in this because I put this in here with the purpose of writing in it. I only use ballpoint. I ever only use ballpoint anyway, so I was going to use this as like my daily book. And then my Stalogy, you're probably wondering, like, why wouldn't I use the Stalogy as my daily book? Well, it was more of like a commonplace book with journaling and other stuff, so didn't want to use Stalogy. But yeah, I did happen to use, so I started out this book. I'm sorry if I bumped my camera. I started out this book with gratitude. I wanted to do gratitude every single day. I did not. I did 10 days and then gave up on it in here. I had a to-do list. I wanted to do something else with this page, but gave up. I did use the monthly. I did do that. The monthly was very, very helpful. So I'm not saying that I dislike this system. I just didn't like the daily part of this system. Some parts of me did feel very functional in here, and I felt like I wasn't missing too many things. But then I got wrapped up with all the frills of this looking really pretty. So this was the first week that I did in here, And because I wasn't using that daily book as much as I initially intended, I started putting my daily tasks and to-dos in these weekly boxes. And that became the sole purpose of this weekly book, was to make sure that I had like my task, highlighted task, and all that stuff in here. I use a 0.38 pen nib, so this worked out to an extent. I did not do this past week. I do want to go back just so I can at least complete the month, but this was 1 week. I did like a small little snippet video where I like set this up on camera, but that's pretty much what I was doing. And then this was last week, or this week that we're getting ready to get out of, that I just did not use this. And it wasn't that I wasn't planning, I just wasn't using this anymore. I will go back in and do this week just so I can have the whole month together. I like to keep the months together. But that's ultimately what this book ended up being. And everything else just became fluff. So it was just all pretty, and it wasn't really functional for me. Now this does not close. You cannot snap it with this extra book in the back. I wish Print Impressions would make his straps a little bit wider. Like, even though he has the 2 clasp straps here, they aren't really what's the word? They aren't really like purposeful, because you put a couple of books in there, especially books of like this size, and this is not a too thick a book, but it's a thicker book. You can't close the planner on the second button. You have to use this first one. So I mean, I think his straps could be just a tad bit longer, but if I want to close this, I have another cover that actually is the same one in the blue color. I didn't like that blue color, so that's why I haven't used it. But I have that planner. If I really want to close it, it has an elastic band. But yeah, I set this up for April. I didn't do April's monthly or anything because I really didn't know if I really wanted to be in here. So that's that. Anything else about this book? No. All right, so moving on. So because I was not completely functional in there and needed a day planner, a day something with days on it, I went back to personal rings. Now this is embarrassing because my personal ring planner is so freaking chunky. Like, look at that. It's so chunky. And I cut down some Happy Planner covers to use as like pretty much the backing and the front to this monstrosity, because I didn't have like any, well, I do have page lifters, but the problem with the page lifters, the plastic ones, the problem with that is if you have a chunky planner like this and it's in the back, it's gonna slightly bend if you close your planner just a little bit. And I didn't like that. With the Happy Planner covers, they're super duper sturdy, so they don't bend at all, no matter how much stuff is in here. It kind of keeps my inserts like perfectly straight, even though it looks rounded, but when it's fluffed out, they still remain really, really straight. So really love the Happy Planner covers for that. I know that's not the purpose of them. I do have Happy Planner inserts, and I play around with them sometimes because I really get into wanting to use the Happy Planner, like a mini, not the big version, because I actually happen to like the whole disc system. I was gifted the Happy Planner, the big one, last year, I want to say. And I play around with it off camera because I toy around with the idea of discs, but I don't understand discs. So maybe that's something I'll try in my near future if I ever get bored of rings again. But anyway, I jumped back into this. Now, when I did my plan with me for this, so bad. I did my plan with me for this and I wasn't in it for 2 weeks. As you can see, obviously there's some blank going on here. So I wasn't in this for 2 weeks, and I'm not gonna lie, this was very hard to get back into. It was hard to kind of wrap my mind around this system again because this is really, really functional. But I did. I jumped back in it on week 12 and 13, and I'm still in it, very much so. So this helped a lot. These are just goals of the week, like targeted tasks, and then these are like top tasks essentially, but they aren't a part of the actual weekly spread. This is just a monthly overview. And then of course on the back you have your timetable for the entire month, so you could like do like a chart kind of a thing where you can time out your appointments or time task and things like that. So I jumped back into this and I used it. Obviously I wasn't in it for this. Was it this week? Yeah, I wasn't in it for this week, so it's blank. But I did go back in and fill this out. And this, I will say, has been a life saver to the madness. This is currently this following week. So this has been a lifesaver to the madness. I tabbed out. So I got some, where are they? I got some little tabs from Amazon. I really needed some removable tabs just so I could move things around and not have to be dedicated to having that be one section. So I bought some of these off of Amazon. They were fairly inexpensive. And I pretty much just write on a tab with some really nice pen and just label which section this is. So this one is my project section. This is the section I use to try to figure out my YouTube videos because I try to make different content for you guys all the time, though I'm not entirely great at it. And then this is obviously my habit tracker section. And this is a section that I find extremely useful. So this is a printable from Wonderful. I only mentioned that because if someone was wondering where I got this from, it was a freebie from Wonderful. I just went on her blog and she has a bunch of free printable inserts for all kinds of sizes, ranging from traveler's notebooks, field notes, passport, personal, A5, half letter. I mean, there's probably a size in there for you if you just search through. But anyway, I printed this out and this has been extremely helpful. So I have this broken down into like it says habits, but these are just like the medications that I currently take and vitamins that I take, and I just track them. This month was a little bit, the weeks I can tell were all over the place. Like I had days where I took them consistently, and then I've had days where I did not take them consistently. And because of that, I was able to see like how my mood was, which this part of it is my moods down at the bottom. So this was extremely helpful in me just seeing like where I am in my day, because I go through bouts of depression and anxiety, and sometimes by not taking these things, they throw me off because I'm also a person who suffers with deficiencies. And so if I'm super duper tired, that means I don't have energy to play with my son. I'm not in a good mood. And so this is how I'm able to see, like, because I didn't take this, where was my mood at? And so it just triggers me to kind of focus and take the things that I need to take so that I can be well and do the things that I need to do. So Wonderful's inserts, her inserts are kind of like booklets. That's why you don't see them printed front to back, because it's set to be like a book. So I'm just, did I flip too far? Okay, so this would be like a front and a back. So if you don't like blankness in between your inserts, then this probably won't work for you. But I happen to like that because if I want to move it somewhere, I can. And I use these little tabs again just to label which months they are. So this was March and this one is April, and I need to update April. But the only difference that I did for this tracker for this month is I added a little sleep tracker. It just goes from 8, 7, 6, and 5 because roughly I get about 5 or 6 hours of sleep every single night. And my goal is to try to get to bed earlier on the weekdays so that I'm getting that full 8 hours of sleep so that I have, again, more energy to play with my son and I'm not so groggy and so angry at everyone in our house, because I have a tendency to take my aggressions out on everyone else, and that's really not a good thing. It's not a good habit. So I'm trying to fix that by at least getting in my self-care, if you will. So this is April. Now, I did add some new things in here, which I'm excited about because your girl needs some help in these areas. If we can get past all these trackers. So I added in an online order tracker. I laugh at this because literally, and I think I slit these. Did I slit? I did. Yes. Okay. So let me explain. I added in the online order tracker insert because I have an issue. I spend money on things that I see. So, prime example, and I would share this in another video. I saw someone on Instagram with a paper blanks, small little mini book, and it was so freaking cute. I just happened to see it on my feed, and I've been trying to scroll back to give that person credit because I ended up buying it. It was like €4 here. And I went and I bought it because I just thought it was so cute. Now, when I got it, obviously it's 3 months past in the year. So obviously there's part of the book that would become unusable. But if you can blank out the dates and use it for the way that I have started to use it, then it becomes like a really good little daily jotter. So I saw it and I purchased it. Now, I have an online order tracker because I'm bad at this. And I want to see just how often I'm shopping in the same week, in the same month. I also want to see how many items I'm buying, and I want to see how much money I'm spending, because my hobby is fun. I like it. I love that, you know, some things can be really inexpensive, but even printables become expensive, especially when you're buying them all the time, or little things like ink pens and sticky notes. Those things add up over time. So I really want to put a pause on my spending. So I need a visual. I am someone who needs that visual, and right now I need a visual. So I put slits in these ones, only these kinds of inserts, because I want to be able to move them around freely. So I only put 2 in there and hoping that I don't fulfill 2 pages, because then that will tell me something about myself. You're a spendaholic and you need to stop. I have a note section. This was a list of YouTube videos that I wanted to do. And then this was just a note regarding my day, that particular day, like some extended notes. And I just have note paper pretty much just in this section. And then this gets to my daily section. So I added in this, what is this? I added in this little top loading Filofax pop. I don't think this is Filofax. I really think this is Webster's Pages. I have a bunch of these, but I added this in so that I could put like my important papers in here. And then this is my daily section. So you'll see that it starts March 18th. Now this is a day on 2 pages. So, yeah, I love this. I bought this. I used to have the day on 1 page, but I started using the day on 2 pages. And I did that because I found myself having a lot of notes regarding things that I was either told, or there's always reminders that I need to write down, and there's always some sort of to-do list. And then this section would be like the routine. So obviously this isn't a good day because this was on a Saturday and not much happened on Saturday or Sunday. But let's just go into like a more busier day. Not much happened on Monday either. Wow, that's crazy. So Tuesday. So my son has a routine every single day, and I try to follow a routine for him, and I try to follow a routine for myself. So I break down his routines at 7 a.m. This goes 7 to 7, but then you have some blank boxes down here at the bottom where you can write in different times and a little bit more things pertaining to your day. But his day actually starts at 7, so this insert works for me. These inserts, I used to get asked these a lot when I first introduced them on my channel, I think about 2 years ago. They are the Chrono Plan dailies. They are from, gosh, I think I'm going to say this name wrong, Zek Form, something like that. Avery Zek Form or something. If you type in Chrono Plan, you might be able to find it. I don't know what it would look like on a US browser. But I bought them from a shop here in Germany. But anyway, like I said, I break down my son's routines in the morning. So in the morning, he usually gets breakfast, diaper change, bath time, and then we might do playtime or quiet time. It just really depends on like where everybody is. And then like in between a day, if I have like packages coming, like his food order or something, I will note that in, but I won't put like a specific time. So this insert, here's a blank one. So this insert has little brackets in it. So there's a small like little dot line here going all the way down for like a time, because there's an hourglass there. There's little ABCs right there, and then there's a checklist. So this section and this section are split between like a little like perforated dotted line or broken line. It's for your task, and it's for what the task is, or like the project. So project and then task. I kind of break it down into like whose routine, because that's the name of the task, and then like what the tasks are within that hour. So this goes from 7, 8, 9 in the morning, and then from 9 it has a blank in between each hour. So 9 has 2 lines, 10 has 2 lines, and so on all the way down. So then by 9 o'clock you have those half-hour lines. I kind of ignore this because our morning routine typically extends to about 10:30. So whatever's happening in those hours, I just kind of break them down here. Now what I did start doing, because this looked a little bit confusing, I tried out a little bit of brackets around certain things so that I could see it more. But this ultimately is where it ended up at. So if I had a bunch of tasks within a certain amount of time, or like a certain part of the day, I just broke down those tasks in that area. Now this side, this note side, I use for a to-do list and daily notes. So I use daily notes and task on this side, because obviously there's not a lot happening here. So even though I write down like what our routine and stuff is in this area, I still have to have a to-do list so I can kind of figure out like, okay, what all needs to get done in this day. This, I will say, has been extremely helpful. We went to the zoo on this day, so we still did our morning routine because repetition. And we still did our evening routine. My son has an evening routine, and I just realized I never checked off what we did right there. And then we went to the zoo around these hours. So I like to see where we were in the day. So I just wrote that in there. But I found this extremely helpful for me, because when I was in that little B6, or not little, but when I was in that B6, I was getting so confused with what I had going on, what I needed to do, and so on. And it was not good, because I felt so discombobulated, and I needed a little bit of structure to kind of pull me back, because I was doing stickers and making all the things look really, really pretty, and that's fine. But that for me mentally does not work, because what happens is I lose sight of what I need to do. I lay the stickers down, I write in my stuff, but then I don't go back and check it. And that's where the failure was happening for me. So went back to this. I use a basic pen. Like this is a Papermate gel, and it is a like needle tipped kind of a pen. I use these pens like almost 2 years ago. So yeah, this is pretty much what I've used for the last couple of weeks leading into April for everything. Everything home related. Oh my goodness, did I just rip that? I did. I just ripped. Well, it's okay because I'm getting ready to take these inserts out anyway, and I can fix that little tear anyway. So there's that. Now, what I did add in here is a weekly overview. I added a weekly overview in here. So these are from Haru Plans. Again, I'm only naming things that I find relevant. I've said this before that I hate when people name every little thing, every little detail of their planner. That's fine if you do you? But I personally don't like doing that, and I hate when I see videos like that. And so instead of just leaving negative comments or being a negative Nancy, I just don't watch those kinds of videos. But I do find that when you name certain things that are relevant to the system that may be helpful to someone, I will name those. So I think this would be helpful for anyone who may be interested. So again, they're from Haru Plans, and it's a week on 2 pages. Now, I added this in here despite having a weekly in the front. So this weekly in the front is a week on 1 page. And it is broken down to be more like a goal setting weekly or a targeted task type of a weekly. And I don't always want to flip from here to here. Although that's fine, it's not feasible, if that makes sense. It's just not feasible. So instead of going through all of that madness, I printed this out, which breaks down my week so that I can see it better. So I have a focus, what the priority is, a checklist, an expense tracker, because although I have that expense tracker in the front, I need to see how much I'm spending for each week. And then I have my monthly overview down at the bottom with a little small note box. And then obviously you can break down top things of the week in this section down here. So I have this in here because I think this is going to be helpful just so I can see my week better along with the dailies. But other than that, that's all the sections that I have in here. The rest of this is all daily. I'm getting ready to take out March and put in a different set of things. I already have April in here, but I don't need March anymore. March is over. We're done with March. And these are dailies that I don't care to really keep, although I like to archive all my inserts. So these are just dailies that I have used already. They already have been processed, and most of the tasks have already been completed. So, gosh, I'm going to rip every page, right? So I'm just going to take out what I don't need and keep in what I do need. But that has been my process for the last 2 weeks of March, and it has helped so much. And I wish that we could have came to this resolution a lot earlier, of just using what I already know works instead of getting involved with all the fluff. But sometimes it takes a little trial and error before we get there, and eventually we got there, just a little late. So, the only problem to this is I use this day on 2 pages a lot. Obviously, we can see that I write a lot of notes for the day. I take a lot of lists and put them in here. This isn't a lot of space. It's just not. The B6 is a little bit bigger. It gives me a little bit more space, so I might still try to work with trying to get it just right. But in addition to that, I have some things that I would like to supplement with. So I will share those in another video. But until then, guys, that is that for me. And I thank you so much for watching. I welcome all of my new subscribers, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.